I'm just now realizing. So, I grabbed the slice of pizza and I'm just now realizing that I can't actually eat it because we're about to cast this match. But,
I'll try to give you as much
hats
time
off to
as
us,
humanly possible. Yes!
Hats off to us, we made it to round 6. It has been a day.
It has been a lovely day.
They've already jumped in on there.
It's been a sunny day.
I'm out. Bye, guys.
No? Okay. So, Abhyuday is, of course, running Hitmontop, Gyarados, Rotom, Dragapult, Whimsicott, and Steelix, with David coming in with a Togekiss, Bronzong, Dragapult, Whimsicott, Rhyperior, and Rotom Wash.
One's bringing the heat and one's bringing the rain. One's making it rain. What's up? I'm back. I mean, if you're looking at Abhyuday's team, there's a couple things there that we haven't seen before, right? Hitmontop, which was super big back in like 16. Dragapult, which we actually haven't seen hit the field once, and the 2 times we've seen it onto teams before. Steelix, which not exactly a Pokemon that is super common at all. And on the other side with David, you do have a lot of Pokemon that are pretty common right now, but in some ways we actually haven't seen their combination before yet. So it'll be kind of fun to see exactly what they're going to bring here, especially because you've got both types of Rotom there. You've got the Dragapults. So you have different offensive options here, and at the same time you still have the Dragapult, which everyone trains their Dragapult differently now.
Ooh, this is a beautiful thing. So of course David is going to come out with the Togekiss Bronzong duo, and Rotom Steelix coming in from Abu's side of the field. So of course that Rotom can try to connect with that Bronzong. Steelix, of course, fairy types, Togekiss, I don't like steel type.
No, not really. And I think it's like really interesting, right? We've seen Togekiss generally as a
here we go! The round one!
Really?
I switch. Team grade 1. Oh my god. But of course, Togekiss coming in with that Heat Wave does not matter. Rotom is going to go for that Thunderbolt onto that Bronzong. Almost takes it out and gets the Paralyzed. Steelix is going to use Rock Slide. Togekiss missing that attack.
I am telling you, that Togekiss is actually 1000%. If it's not super lucky as its ability, it is now, because that Ally Switch kept it from 1, getting paralyzed, and 2, it avoided that Rock Slide. So that Togekiss, which has been the main attacker for a lot of people today, is... honestly, it's at full health, it's got Heat Wave, it's sitting there and it's looking like, you know what, you cannot touch this and you shouldn't even try, because now the hard part about this is you're playing Ally Switch mind games, and that is one of the most difficult things about that move, is once it shows up, when does your opponent use it?
Yep.
You have something like Rock Slide, yes, that's one spread move. You have to figure out what else is going to be able to like take that, right? Like, we're seeing try to take down that Togekiss, because it's gonna be kind of a scary Pokemon to like look at.
And David is of course coming out with a Dynamax. Most likely Dynamaxing the Togekiss is really usual play. And yes, that Togekiss coming into that large flying egg. Is cute.
Yeah, I mean, like, and Dynamaxing the Bronzong would sort of be like a waste of a Dynamax, because it's already at like a third of its health. And oh my gosh,
Togekiss coming in with that Max Flare onto that Steelix, and it does not take the KO. Gets very, very close though. Steelix is left with, I think, less than 30 HP right now, and that of course is going to proc that Sunlight. But Rotom coming in with that Thunderbolt. Steelix again, Rock Slide. Now, David, he does have a lot of offensive pressure. You know, Togekiss is going to be faster, but Bronzong does take that Paralyze.
She's really good.
And, you know, of course, David now, both of his Pokemon are at really low health.
Yeah, the rough part about that is, like, you know, obviously you never want to see your Pokemon get paralyzed because of like, get stuck in that mode, but Togekiss is able to at least withstand and go for, like, one last move, and Steelix sure was able to do a lot of damage, but Bronzong, I think, did its job, right? It set up Togekiss pretty well. It managed to take down one of, like, the hardest attackers on Abyuday's side, and I mean, hey, Togekiss might go down. You lose your Dynamax a little bit earlier than I think you expected to, but you take down Steelix, you just have to worry about what might be in the back. Is it the Dragapult or is it the Gyarados? And if it's the Dragapult, you have ways of taking care of that.
Yes, and of course, that Bronzong coming in with that Trick Room, So, he could bring in a Dragapult, but Dragapult does tend to be very quick. That might be a little bit of a problem, but he does bring in that Gyarados, and David, using that, yes, does bring out the Rhyperior. Regina was trying to point to me while she was chewing, but I was talking.
I'm a multi-talented person,
yes, she is. So, of course, Rhyperior is going to be the slowest thing on the field. It is probably going to take a lot of damage from that Gyarados if it doesn't do that damage first.
Yeah, and I think right here, if you're a Abhyuday, you have to kind of consider how long can you stall out Trick Room, right? Because we've seen Rhyperior be absolutely devastating. And now you have to remember, Bronzong has Ally Switch. You can go for that right now as well. Rhyperior, which most likely has that weakness policy, it's going to be terrifying once you hit it with any sort of water-type move. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about that is, even if you were to hit it with a water-type move, you've got the Sun up right now. So even if this Gyarados decides to go for that Dynamax, goes for the Max Geyser, you'll do a lot of damage, but if you can figure out someone to circumvent it enough to the point where like Rhyperior will hold on and then activate that weakness policy in Trick Room, you're not here for a good time or a long time.
But of course, Bronzong is going to come in with that body press onto that Rotom. It's going to take it down to about half health, and Rhyperior is going to come in with that Rock Slide Rotom, avoiding that attack. Gyarados taking a little less than half damage to that.
Could flinch on this turn, though.
Rotom does go for the Thunderbolt onto the Bronzong, which of course is going to take it out. So David is now down to his last 2 Pokemon, but he does still have...
Oh, you can't flinch Dynamax
Trick Room. Yes, you can't flinch Dynamax Pokemon. Rhyperior is going to take that. Still living.
Are we going to see what
Are we going to see a weakness policy?
What about activated right now?
Are not.
There it is. No, it is.
Oh, there it is.
So
it just want to make me wrong. That's cool.
You'll know at least next game, right? If you're a Abhyuday, you will know. Hey, in Sun, Waterfall Max Geyser does not knock out. It does not knock out the Rhyperior, and that's the scary part.
No, this is a very interesting choice, I think, for David to come in and bring that Dragapult. Dragapult is a fast Pokemon. He is in Trick Room. I'm not exactly sure what he's going to try to do.
I think it's smart because then you've got like 2 modes, right? Once Trick Room's over, and if Abhyuday manages to stall it out, you've got Dragapult for that later, right? Because now,
of course, that Rock Slide coming in after with his policy proccing, and both Gyarados and Rotom are knocked out.
This poor Dragapult, I'm guessing, is in the back. It's not going to be here for a fun or a long time again. Like,
Phantom Force. Oh, he's gonna vanish.
That's really smart. Because now you don't waste a turn, right? You don't waste any like sort of like move turns. The next Pokemon that's in here.
And Dragapult coming in again. Rhyperior is going to move first in Trick Room.
It's going to demolish this Dragapult. It's going to drag this Dragapult. That's literally what's going to happen. Like, honestly, the fact that you were able to set up Max Flare and Sunny Day with the Togekiss to bring in that Rhyperior and take the water type move to activate your weakness policy, even from a Dynamax Gyarados especially, like, and I don't think we actually saw Intimidate proc on the Gyarados as well, which means it's a Moxie Gyarados, right? It's a hidden ability one. So now if you're David, you don't have to worry about Rhyperior being like, oh yeah, I'm going to only have +1 from my weakness policy as opposed to like +2. So even more so, like knowing that like you can survive all of that, like it just, David was like, in the beginning he goes, oh, okay, I see what you're gonna do, I'm going to stop you, and the way he did that, ally switch, that's it. Like without that ally switch, I think that Togekiss would have been in a worse position to like set everything up. Sure, it's unfortunate that the paralysis like affected the Bronzong later on, but the thing about that is, if you don't have a way to stop like the Trick Room, then there's nothing left to do. So, I mean, game 2, I think you have to respect the Bronzong ally switch a little bit more. It's a little bit hard to call it, right? And like I can, sitting here, I can be like, yeah, you have to respect ally switch more, but
it's easier said than done.
Dude, ally switch is stressful to play against. Like once you see it, the idea of like, okay, which one do I target first? But what if they decide to switch this turn? And like playing that sort of mind game, we've seen it take down like in like very well-known players. So, I mean, like again, it's easy for me to be like, oh yeah, just play around ally switch, just use spread moves. But the problem is like, it's a little bit more difficult to do that, right? Like we can look at what they're doing and be like, hey, just do this or do this and do this instead. And I think, at least in this case, I think that David leading with the Togekiss Bronzong is a little scary, right? And like the way to stop that is harder than expected because you don't have anything that could just kind of take out one or the other in one shot. Like, especially because if you're gonna have Dragapult in the back, you want to make sure Togekiss isn't there for the Max Starfall, for the Dazzling Gleam, and like even Hitmontop can't do much, right? Like you can try to for the Fake Out because there's no Psychic Terrain, but you only stop the inevitable. And I don't think with Hitmontop and one other Pokemon, unless you Dynamax and decide to like use as much Dynamax turns that round, like in like those next 3 turns, that you'll be able to deal enough damage to knock them both out.
And David does also have what could potentially be the freedom to play out that Trick Room mode with that Bronzong, or play that Tailwind mode with that Whimsicott. Meaning that Abhyuday doesn't really know. He could try to use Tailwind, and then that Trick Room would come in and completely demolish that Tailwind. But of course, Bronzong and Rhyperior coming out, Rotom and Dragapult coming out.
Yeah, I think this change in lead from both of them is actually really interesting, right? I think the reason you wouldn't see a Tailwind play is because, one, if you have no way to stop that Bronzong, there's no point in going for the Trick Room. I think what we're going to see is a Dynamax Dragapult going for the Max Phantasm on the Bronzong to try to stop it from the get-go, which is fine. But that means you can also have the Rhyperior go for the Dynamax as well and go for something like a Max Quake, go for the Max Rockfall. Things like that can at least do damage, and even if you don't have Trick Room set up, then you're going to punish the other Trick Room happening. Or sorry, the other like Pokemon.
And yes, Rhyperior does come out and Dynamax. Oh, do you think the stadium shakes?
Probably.
Which of course that does mean that Bronzong will be ally switching because
No,
does it?
Yeah,
what is that? I've never seen ally switch with a Rhyperior.
They still switch.
Oh, okay, that is insane.
Oh, wait.
He called the ally switch onto the Shadow Ball, completely knocking off that Bronzong. That was really smart. That was a really smart move.
Oh, and it's Life Orb.
Oh, trick. Of course, going to switch that, giving that weakness policy to that Rotom. Max Rockfall going onto that Rotom. Completely knocked. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it knocked it out. It's knocked out. It wouldn't jump to zero. That's cool. That's a fun way to use Trick. Like we've seen it before where people use eject button and Trick, but I think
oh, that's evil.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't seen it.
You can think Wolf Click.
I usually even see Trick with the choice.
No,
so that I get locked
into eject button, quick attack, or anything like that. Yeah,
that's awful.
It's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, okay. So here's the issue now. So you can actually go for the Tailwind and be fine right now, because if you have Tailwind with Togekiss, I'm not 100% sure. Your Rhyperior is actually in a pretty bad spot. The Gyarados can go for the Dynamax, go for the Max Geyser, and then you'll do more damage than you did last time. You will knock it out this time for sure. But
Togekiss does come out with that Follow Me, meaning that both moves from Abu's side will be going into that Togekiss. Dragapult Will-O-Wisp is going to burn Togekiss, which will get chip damage off, and it could be potentially helpful.
Oh!
Gyarados Stonehenge, but Togekiss missing that. Rhyperior going for that Max Rockfall one more time onto that Gyarados and knocking that out as well.
I will say, I think that it's a very interesting choice to go for the to have Will-O-Wisp on Dragapult, right? I wasn't sure if Abhyuday was expecting the Togekiss kind of going for the Follow Me, because that Will-O-Wisp was definitely supposed to hit that Rhyperior, right? Because Rhyperior is gonna have a horrible time with that lowered attack, because it's an attack Pokemon. Yeah, like that's what it is.
And that last Pokemon, Steelix, coming out. Steelix could again scare that Togekiss, but we saw that it did take an attack pretty well last game.
I'm trying to think. I mean, if you're David and you have like something like Rotom or like even Dragapult in the back, right? Both of those Pokemon should have enough firepower to at least take care of the Steelix for a little bit. If you can get any sort of like chip damage, like enough chip damage to Steelix where the other two Pokemon in the back can clean it up, or sorry, the last Pokemon in the back can help clean it up with Rhyperior, then I think you're going to be in an okay spot, right? We know Maxfire did a lot more damage because obviously it's a Dynamax move, so it's going to do more, but we know that's based off of Heat Wave, so you can at least try to get a burn of some point.
But we are going for a Dynamax on Abu's side, and we'll see what he chose. He did choose to Dynamax that Steelix.
That's smart. It makes it way tougher to get down, and you get at least a little bit of extended turns, and you have to focus a lot more of your energy into the Steelix. Because if you leave it alone, the Pokemon you have left won't have enough damage to go against it.
Yes. And Dragapult will use that Protect. Togekiss using that Heat Wave, not going to connect with that Dragapult, but it will most likely connect with that
It has
Steelix.
a really low chance to burn as well, though.
Takes out, that was like, what, 5? That was like a 50
Not a lot,
HP.
yeah.
Max Quake going into that Steelix as well, taking it down to a little less than half, which is going to make the next couple turns easier for David. And that special defense from Togekiss and Rhyperior is going to get the boost. Steelix, Max Steel Spike onto that Togekiss, but it's going to eat a berry, so...
I think Berry is the steel one. I can't actually remember off the top of my head. Hey, if Togekiss has the one who had weakness policy, it might actually still be around. Oh, it is. Cool. But like I said, now if you're David, you have to focus most of your resources in taking out Steelix. Dragapult, you can take out in a myriad of ways. If you have a Dragapult in the back, you're fine that way, right? Yep. Togekiss and Rhyperior have to focus on that Steelix. That Steelix has 2 more turns. It's at, like, under half HP. If you can get another Heat Wave and, like, an Earthquake, actually... Heat Wave and Earthquake might actually be able to do it as long as Rhyperior doesn't get hit. If you can use, or you might be forced to use Follow Me because of this, which would also be okay because you can at least get damage into the Steelix. Like, that is your biggest concern right now because you have one more Pokemon in the back. If it's your own Dragapult, then it's a matter of you have Rhyperior and you have Dragapult and you can attack with both, right? Or you can use Togekiss.
And yes, Togekiss is going to go for that Follow Me. Will-O-Wisp onto that Togekiss again, not going to matter, it's already burned. Rhyperior going for that Earthquake does not affect its friend Togekiss, but it will go onto that Steelix and Dragapult, taking them both down to about a 1/4 of a damage. Steel Spike, going to go into that Togekiss, will most likely KO it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because, like, even with that Berry, it got it to a little bit under half, right? So, at full, like, attack, it will knock it out. But I still think this is kind of David's game to win, because you've got Steelix on one more turn of Dynamaxing. Dragapult's taking residual damage from Sandstorm. If you have your own Dragapult, you protect, you Earthquake one more time. Like, no matter what happens, you have a Rhyperior that has a lot of HP, you have a Dragapult who can also be fast, and it's like, you have one slow, like ground rockish type Pokemon, and you have a Dragapult. But if you look at Abhyuday's like side, he's losing the HP battle. Like, there's not a lot he can really do around here unless he has something hidden up his sleeve for that last turn of Dynamax, and like, he has to make the most of it if he wants to try to, like, take care of 2 Pokemon who are at full health. That works. His
Dragapult is going to go for the Draco Meter onto the other Dragapult, completely knocking it out.
I mean, you still have the Earthquake chance, right?
Yep.
And we saw that Rhyperior was faster than the Steelix. So.
And there it is, Earthquake coming out, and it
doesn't knock out the Steelix.
It does not knock out the Steelix. That is a bulky little Steelix.
But Rhyperior still also has its weakness policy.
Yes. So that Steel Spike coming in, gonna take it to a little more than half HP.
Whatever the Steelix could do before, it can't do it now.
Yes.
Because that Rhyperior, like, it's not even gonna matter at this point. Like, it doesn't have its weakness policy because it got tricked from earlier. But even with a +2 defense, that Steelix is gonna be slower. You have technically, I think this counts as a single target Earthquake.
Yep.
It's at 20 HP. Earthquake, unless you have plus evasiveness, does it miss? And that would be game
there it is. Yes.
And round 6 to David. So that was fun. Also, that cheese pizza was actually extremely delicious.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yep. So, much like David made those Pokemon disappear off the field, I made that cheese pizza disappear.
Magic. So we are gonna take a quick break. We're gonna let the rest of our rounds play out, and then we'll go to Top Cut.
We might just be able to hop into Top Cut right after Swiss ends. It depends. So just keep an eye out. Miguel might tweet it out. I will definitely tweet it out when we go back live for Top Cut. Somebody here, I guarantee you, will post Top Cut once we have standing. So stay awake for just a little bit longer, East Coast, please. And if you're on the West Coast or or like in the Midwest, we appreciate you guys staying with us and watching all these matches. Just go get a snack, go get some coffee, go get chips. I don't know. Yeah,
drink
go
water.
Oh yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Water. I say as I hold my Mountain Dew.
But just don't go too far, guys, because we'll be back.